Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Treatment Action Group's annual Research in Action Awards here at the beautiful Angel Orensanz Foundation. I'm Tamrin Goldberg. Big round of applause. I am Tamrin Goldberg, and I am so happy to be back as your host for the third year running. I feel like I should get a punch card. One more and I get a free latte. And hello to our virtual guests tuning in via Zoom. Big thanks to Michael Luciano, an HIV peer navigator in Charleston, South Carolina, for keeping the live stream smooth and accessible. For those of you here in the room, during cocktail hour, you experienced the sights and sounds of the gay chorus, No Time at All, by our 2025 limited art edition artist, Matthew Leifheit. This arresting installation was at the New York City AIDS Memorial during Pride and sourced hauntingly beautiful archival performances by gay men's choruses from the decade preceding the advent of highly active antiretroviral treatments for HIV. And we are so excited to share with you this year's limited art edition, George Platt Lyne's Scrapbook Pages. This edition is a beautifully printed photogravure reproduction of a prop Matthew made for a film about the late photographer George Platt Lynes in 2018. The print shows one page from Lyne's private scrapbooks and features the caption, Paul Cadmus, Fire Island, September 1941, inscribed in Lyne's handwriting. The page originally contained photographs of his friend, the painter Paul Cadmus, at the beach, but when the crumbling scrapbooks were collected by the Beinecke Library at Yale, all original photographs were removed for separate conservation, leaving behind the ghostly traces of Lyne's hand that you see in this edition. A special thank you to our donors at and above the artist level for your acquisition of this year's edition. For those interested in procuring your own, please talk to our staff tonight or after the event. Our heartfelt appreciation goes out to artist Matthew Leifheit. Tonight is about celebration, impact, and community. We'll honor three incredible change makers and enjoy an exceptional performance by the one and only Lorna Luft. To kick things off, please welcome the husband of our first honoree and a 2017 RIAA honoree himself, Joseph Evehall.
What a privilege it is to stand here tonight on behalf of TAG, which has contributed so much to protecting and improving the health of people throughout the world, and help TAG honor my incredible husband, Rich Lynn. Rich so deeply deserves this recognition because for decades he has lived TAG's mission, bringing real science, hard work, and abiding compassion to bear on major health challenges, and doing it fiercely and fearlessly and brilliantly. Let me tell you a little bit about Rich's path as a scientist activist. In 1989, Rich got a PhD from Harvard in molecular biology and enzymology, doing path-breaking work on topoisomerases, enzymes that keep DNA from getting tangled into knots when it's replicating. When Rich wasn't pulling all-nighters running experiments in his lab or baking his famous cheesecake, which his advisor wanted him to bring to important group meetings, Rich was teaching immensely popular biochemistry classes. His students welcomed his patient, clear explanations, and they adored him. But Rich's interests and work were never narrow. He was passionate about the LGBTQ community, which back then only used the letters G and sometimes L. So every Friday night, he volunteered at the Boston offices of Gay Community News, helping to stuff thousands of newspapers into plain brown envelopes for mailing. At Pride parades, Rich carried the banner for Boston's Lesbian and Gay Freedom Trail marching band. Rich could make any Julia Child recipe on a tiny dorm stove, rocked an impressive 1980s Tom Selleck mustache, and looked great in his black members-only jacket. And even then, his knowledge of opera was encyclopedic. That passion eventually found a queer outlet through Rich's alter ego, Dawn Fatale, whose acclaimed criticism and commentary appears in Parterre Box. In 1989, with his PhD and Pfizer job offer in hand, Rich moved to New York City. Looking for a meaningful activity, he volunteered for Tom Duane's first campaign. That quickly led Rich to ACT UP, where he was a natural fit for ACT UP's treatment and data group. Rich went to international AIDS conferences to insist that the activist voice was heard. He ran the logistics for the Storm the NIH demonstration. He spoke truth about HIV to Matilda Krim as a fellow guest on The Charlie Rose Show. And ever the romantic, Rich even had the two of us co-author an article for QW magazine explaining FDA's then new parallel track regulations. As the need for science activism grew, Rich helped found TAG and served as a committed and dedicated TAG board member for more than 25 years. I know from personal experience that when Rich is on a board, he's not just keeping a chair warm or rubber stamping anyone. He's always prepared, he listens, he analyzes, he frets, and then he offers his own brilliant take on what needs to be done. But he doesn't stop there, because then he rolls up his sleeves to do the work, and he does it with good humor and a hilarious sense of humor. Barbara Hughes wouldn't have had it any other way. During these dark days, we need more people like Rich, people who know and understand science, who have compassion for people around them, and who will fearlessly do the hard work so that public health policy based on real science does not become ancient history. Rich never clamors for attention. In fact, he shies away from it. I'm thrilled that the spotlight has finally caught up to him, and that TAG is recognizing him for the incredible work he has done bringing science to the service of activism.
Thank you, Joe, and everyone. This is really overwhelming for me. I am honored to be included with the other extraordinary honorees. I've been to every Research in Action Awards ceremony, all 28, I believe. Each time I've been in awe of the achievements of the award recipients and their personal commitments to ending the HIV, tuberculosis, and hepatitis C pandemics. I never would have imagined myself in their number. And so thank you, TAG, for this award and giving my imposter syndrome a night off. I can't imagine the trajectory of my life without TAG and its amazing staff and board. I'd like to thank a few people who were instrumental in shaping and nurturing my activism. My journey started when I had just moved back to New York and was volunteering for Tom Duane's first city council campaign. Future TAG board member and co-founder Laura Morrison suggested that I should go to an ACT UP meeting, and Monday nights were never the same. And from there, I quickly joined the Treatment and Data Committee, where Mark Harrington casually asked me one day if I could help teach activists the basics of immunology and clinical trials at an upcoming ACT UP teach-in. And soon thereafter, he asked if I wanted to help write the treatment agenda for the Florence AIDS Conference. At the same time, I met the young composer and impeccable prose stylist, Chris de Blasio, and we started to collaborate on the Treatment and Data Digest. And those activities gave me a voice and a purpose during extremely dark times, and we had marathon sessions arguing policy recommendations and writing treatment agendas and Countdown 18 Months and so many other, I think, really important documents, and those are some of my most cherished memories. I'd like to thank Barbara Hughes, who was TAG's board president for most of my tenure on the board. You don't fully appreciate how well Barbara performs the role of board president until you're on a board at another nonprofit that isn't run by Barbara. Her care for the organization, her attention to good governance, her ability to foster productive collaboration between the board and TAG staff, her seemingly bottomless reserves of time, and her own work as an activist make her such a towering figure in our community. And my long involvement with TAG is very much due to her leadership. And I will add that with Ivy, TAG's new board president, we have another community hero and gifted leader. Of course, I'd like to thank my husband, Joe, who's been a constant source of love and support and an invaluable TAG contributor himself. Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone in the broader TAG community. One of the things that keeps me going is the fact that you all continue to believe in activism and the possibility of social change, despite the rampant spread of evil and misinformation in our country and beyond. So your heartfelt support, your voices, and your deeds give TAG and me life and hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich, for all you've done to support TAG. I can't believe that this is already my third year hosting the Research and Action Awards, although next to 28 years, that feels like nothing. Time flies when you're surrounded by brilliance, justice, and really good catering by City Beat Kitchens. I was first introduced to Treatment Action Group backstage at Hollywood's Pantages Theater. I was in my first year on tour with Moulin Rouge the musical, brainstorming with tuberculosis researcher Dr. Tamrin Goldberg, my dad and current TAG board member, about the best ways to take advantage of Moulin Rouge's global platform to raise awareness for TB. This fabulous story of a beautiful woman who falls ill with consumption felt like an ideal opportunity to advocate for the elimination of tuberculosis. And this is why we make theater, right? To make some sort of difference in the world. We just hosted what we called a consumption conversation, educating cast, crew, and management about the history, cultural, and literary relevance and current state of tuberculosis in the modern world. It felt like a strong start. The company listened actively, asked thoughtful questions, and of course, expressed surprise at the prominence of this often forgotten disease. And here we are in 2025, and this romantic malady straight out of 19th century literature remains the world's leading infectious disease killer. It felt good, useful, to connect with the company, help the people involved in the production to find a deeper meaning in what we were doing. But we wanted to see if we could make a real impact. And from his time with the CDC and the TB Trials Consortium, my dad knew that TAG knows how to make that impact. So a few days later, backstage in my dressing room, right before squeezing myself into a corset and 3 pairs of tights, we set up a meeting and got the conversation going. 3 benefit concerts, a couple World TB Day social media campaigns, fundraisers, some consumption conversations, and some audience outreach later. It sort of feels like, for me, the work has just begun. But for TAG, the work has been happening for 3 decades. During that time, I left the touring company of Moulin Rouge and joined the Broadway production. And I'm so excited to be here in New York, continuing my relationship with TAG and staying connected with all of their incredible work, which has been going strong for decades. It really is an honor to be here as your host tonight. Art fosters empathy. It can introduce us to stories that otherwise would be completely foreign. It opens our minds and our hearts and can help us to see the world in a different way. And once we've experienced that shift, it feels good to know that there are people like the heroic advocates of Treatment Action Group with a history of taking tangible actions to make the world a better place. So if you're new here, welcome. TAG's annual celebration brings together scientists, researchers, activists, artists, and supporters like you all, united in the fight to end HIV, TB, and hepatitis C. This year alone, TAG has made major moves. TAG's HIV Cure Trials Tracker continues to monitor and explain every HIV cure-related study worldwide, bringing transparency to the science and ensuring that affected communities stay informed and engaged in the search for a cure. Meanwhile, TAG's HIV team, working in concert with the Act Now End AIDS Coalition, has fought to protect critical funding, advance evidence-based prevention and treatment, and push policymakers to follow through on the national goal of ending the HIV pandemic. The HCV project is advancing long-acting therapies and affordable diagnostics for HCV, TB, and malaria, building on lessons from HIV. And TAG's TB team, relentless, even after losing $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.2 million, and that just exemplifies why we need you all more than ever. After losing $1.2 million in federal funding due to the disastrous USAID cuts brought on by DOGE, they fight on, ensuring that global TB research and development continue through this chaos. That's what your support powers. It keeps TAG bold, strategic, and deeply rooted in equity. It funds the brilliant staff and fuels the advocacy that drives real change. And tonight's support, from ticket sales to donations to our stunning limited art edition by Matthew Leifheit, is what makes it all possible. Huge thanks to Joy Episala and everyone who helped bring this year's edition to life. You can talk to our development team to snag your own. I especially want to thank our biggest supporters of this year's event: Nick Debs and the Debs Family Foundation, Jamil Jawani and Capital Group, Frank Selvaggi and Bill Shea, AmFAR, Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, Judy Gluckstern, Rob Lennon and Mark Gilrain, Merck, and Weil. I also want to thank our amazing event chairs, Tom Postilio and Mickey Conlon. And our host committee for their commitment and generosity. And to our legacy circle, past honorees who keep showing up and lifting TAG's work, please wave so we can celebrate you as well. Before we move forward, we want to take a moment to remember members of our community who are no longer with us, advocates, researchers, artists, and friends who dedicated their lives to the fight for health, equity, and justice. Across decades, their voices shaped movements, their work changed policy, and their passion continues to inspire all of us. As we share their names, we invite you to join us in a moment of silence, to honor their memory, to celebrate their impact, and to renew our commitment to the unfinished work they began. Thank you. May their memory continue to be a source of strength and resolve for all who carry this work forward. Now, I'd like to welcome TAG's board president, Ivy Kwan Arce.
Good evening. So nice to see you all here. My name is Ivy Kwan Arce. Since 1990, I've been HIV positive. I now serve as the president of the TAG Board of Directors. I owe TAG my extended life and also the opportunity of being mother to 2 HIV negative sons. For more than 3 decades, TAG's work has saved lives, my life, countless people globally, and many in this room. The work that TAG saving life, it is their legacy. TAG has allowed many of us to have another day. As the NIH and CDC are gutted and science is being under siege, TAG's know-how becomes even more essential in this fight. Those allies, those activists, are really each of you in this room. Our annual pipeline, which is a global resource that every important conference uses, like the International AIDS Society and CROI. The report tracks progress, exposes gap, guides treatment, prevention priorities worldwide. TAG is powered by a brilliant staff, a dedicated board, some serving 30 years or 28 years, like Rich Lynn, who have been mentoring me the last 3 years. They're the backbone of this work. Your activism, your support tonight remains vital to ensure science and policy moves forward, regardless who is in the White House and who's not. In order for us to truly become equity and care for everyone. Thank you for showing up tonight, especially for those who have been supporting us for 3 decades. And now I have the honor to introduce my very dear friend and executive director, Mark Harrington.
Wow, Ivy, I feel like you're my sister. We were both diagnosed in 1990. We both were treated by the same brilliant physician, Joseph Sonnabend, RIP, who was a pioneer in treating AIDS in the years when nobody was treating the opportunistic infections that most people with AIDS were dying of. And he, too, is one of the people who's responsible for the lives that TAG has helped to save. I want to thank all of you for being part of the TAG family, and I really do mean family. And I want to shout out to my beautiful nephew, Ian Philip Bailey, and his beautiful daughters, Anaya and Zia Bailey, who are here tonight representing one of my families. And Ian is also the creator of Treatment Action Group Blend Coffee, which will be made available later tonight and is available on the web. So, Ivy, thank you for your fearless leadership. I want to tell everyone a little more than Tamrin already did tell us about how we're fighting back against the current attacks on everything our community has fought for the last 40 years to build, which is that we worked with scientists and activists to create effective institutions to conduct research, implement evidence-based programming, and to secure equity for all. And when we say all, that means a lot of people that are not considered even human by the current administration. To prevent, treat, and when possible, to cure HIV, TB, and Hep C. As you all know,
or hopefully may know, on day one, the new administration froze funding for international HIV and TB programs. When Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, "No babies are dying on my watch," he lied. And the only competition now is which cabinet member will have the most deaths under their belts at the end of the first 4 years of this current administration, because RFK Jr. is also going to be responsible for a lot of dead babies with the crazy vaccine policies that they're implementing. But these millions of people that have been kept alive partly because of TAG's work, many of them are still alive, and we have to fight for them throughout the next few years. We need to fight to get treatment and prevention out to where it's needed, both here in the United States and in other countries around the world. So we joined with our allies in ACT UP, New York, which still exists, with Health Gap, with Housing Works, and with many others. And we've been conducting a whole range of sit-ins, die-ins, protests at Congress, at the State Department, and in the streets to educate the world about the life-threatening cuts that are underway and the stakes. And right after me, you'll hear from one of our bravest staff members who's been arrested at many of these demonstrations. Another thing that we did this year is when the White House froze critical clinical trials in South Africa, where up to a third of some of these studies participants were enrolled. We sounded the alarm and we convened a group of scientists and a group of donors, including the Gates Foundation, Wellcome, and others. And as a result, Gates, Wellcome, and the South African government put up 500 million rand to keep the most vital studies afloat so that we could get the answers and so that people in the studies wouldn't have wasted their time and their lives putting their bodies on the line. We're continuing to fight ongoing cuts to NIH and CDC programs, including research, prevention, and treatment. And when I think about how bad these times are, I have to remind myself how bad they were when TAG was founded. In 1990, about 40,000 Americans died of AIDS. In 1993, about 50,000 Americans died of AIDS. Today's crises are not at least not yet as dire as those dark times, although they're still going after Medicaid and they're still going after healthcare. They're still destroying HIV prevention. And when there's a rise in TB all around the world because people have been cut off from HIV treatment through PEPFAR, the world is not ready to handle that new surge of TB cases, even though the science in TB treatment and vaccines is better than it's ever been. We now have long-acting therapies that require as few as 2 injections a year. New TB vaccines for the first time in 100 years are in late-stage trials. And there's a lot of hope on the horizon in terms of the research. And other countries are going to step up and do some of it. But it would be tragic if the US, which had been in the lead and a leading funder of all this research, and which is where the epidemic has been really one of the worst in the developed world, that if we would just let people continue to die in the streets as they were in the 80s under the Reagan administration. So much of our work has depended, since our foundation, on the firm bonds between the activist communities and scientific leaders at the NIH and elsewhere. And that partnership wouldn't have been possible without the work of people like Rich Lynn, who organized Storm the NIH on May 21st of 1990 so that we could actually get the scientists to let us go to their meetings and tell them what to do and how to do it, and then to learn from them. So it's my honor now to present a 2025 Research in Action Award to Dr. Jeannie Marazzo. Dr. Marazzo is the first gay, lesbian, queer person to lead an NIH institute. She had spent her career starting at Yale, spent 2 decades in Seattle, researching women's sexual and reproductive health, HIV, human papillomavirus, and I learned from her that lesbians can get HPV too. And that was an important finding because it led to a whole new group of people getting the cervical cancer prevention vaccine. She's led large international studies of HIV prevention in women and conducted basic research on the vaginal microbiome. She led infectious diseases at the University of Alabama in Birmingham before being named the 6th director of NIAID in September of 2023. As I mentioned, she was the first woman and the first queer person to lead NIAID. In April, the new administration came in and put her, with hundreds of other public health service staff, on administrative leave, during which she fearlessly filed a whistleblower complaint against the current administration for canceling grants unfairly, for diverting NIH funds to White House cronies to do scientifically unjustified vaccine research, and for dismantling the review committees that make sure the science is actually sound. So, as a result, on October 1st, HHS Secretary RFK Jr. fired Dr. Marazzo for her scientific courage. As I said, hey, RFK, how many kids did you kill today? For your decades of leadership in infectious diseases, for your advocacy of the full participation of women and gender minorities in all phases of research, for conducting clinical trials to advance women's health and HIV prevention, for making us all proud to be so proud and loud yourself, and for your courage under fire while serving at NIAID, we are so proud to present you with this 2025 Research in Action Award.
Thank you all so much for being here. I hope I can get through this without losing my composure. Thank you. I love you too. I'm not usually at a loss for words, as those of you who know me know, but it's truly difficult for me to express what an honor it is to be here tonight. To be recognized by an organization that has represented the pinnacle of informed activism for my whole life, essentially, my whole professional life. TAG has had a profound effect on history, not just the history of HIV and AIDS and of the people directly affected by the virus as patients and families, but on the thousands of healthcare providers who were enabled to provide care by the courage, tenacity, and vision of the activists that embody TAG's work. As an infectious disease doctor who started caring for people living with HIV and AIDS in the 1980s during my residency, and continued my HIV primary care clinic for over 2 decades, I know firsthand. We got the tools because you took the risk. You wouldn't shut up, you wouldn't sit down, and you wouldn't accept that anyone's lives were any less sacred than those who happen to have more money, power, or access. Lives saved, lives changed, potential realized, literally, as Ivy just said, generations sustained. And South Africa. All as a result of advocacy and courage. Absolutely, South Africa, absolutely. Of course, we need this courage more than ever. It has become very clear that stigma and the desire to blame people for their very natures and identities is as alive and well as it was when some of you and all of our activist forebears stormed the gates of the FDA and the NIH to demand study of and access to antiretroviral therapy. The attacks on public health and science that we are experiencing now are not just devastating, they are personal. We are being attacked for being gay, for being queer, for being non-binary, for being trans, for being women, for being brown, for being black, for being quote-unquote undocumented, a word I shudder to even think of applying to a human being, as it has taken on the idea of an outsider status unworthy of basic respect and dignity, as Mark said earlier. And these attacks also hit personally at the heart of the science and care most dear to those in this room. Funding to ensure that antiretroviral therapy is available to all, and research on the holy grail of an HIV vaccine and cure. TAG's commitment to expand to other diseases that affect the most vulnerable, like tuberculosis and hepatitis C, are also under attack. In my personal journey over the last year, there have been a few bright spots, almost all provided by the support of dear friends, colleagues, and family, especially my wife, Jo, who couldn't be here tonight. Learning that I was invited to share this evening with you in this capacity was one of the brightest, if not the brightest, moment of the last several months. And this light is something that's gotten me through some very dark days. More important, it reminds us where we need to go in the future. Staying together, pushing back, holding people accountable, and advocating for our lives and our health. We will get through this. Thank you. I could not be more grateful.
Please welcome TAG staff speaker, Kendall Martinez-Wright.
Good evening, y'all. I'm Kendall Martinez-Wright, TAG's Government Relations and Policy Associate, and I am so humbled and excited to be with you all this evening at this year's Research and Action Awards, a night to celebrate the amazing accomplishments of our honorees, a moment to reflect the challenges and victories we have experienced this past year, and lastly, being surrounded by supporters, longtime activists, staff, and new friends. This year has been one of the most difficult in my almost 17 years of advocacy. As a trans Afro-Puerto Rican woman, I have dealt with adversity in the hyper-conservative Missourian political world, which that's a longer story for another day, but this experience has definitely taken the cake. We at TAG know that ever since day one of this administration, the dipshit in the White House is the key orchestrator of ongoing attacks and villainization of public health, research, and advancement of sciences. Shameful. Additionally, Congress being adamant to either defund or eliminate life-saving programs is leading to the exhaustion that folks are feeling, and that's something I know all too well. Last Tuesday, I participated in a civil disobedience targeting Senator Collins in regards to PEPFAR and ensuring funding for the program. Thank you. Ensuring funding for the program with collaboration from our amazing partner, Housing Works and Health Gap. I took that moment to express my anger and disapproval of what some members of Congress, like her, are currently doing relevant to the appropriations process. As I was being arrested and booked, I thought about those who put their lives on the lines during the height of the AIDS epidemic and how they expressed their frustration to the United States government on the treatment of those affected by HIV. With that, I not only felt that connection, I felt a sense of pride in realizing that this moment is one of many fights to increase justice in our line of work. I want to encourage you all to understand that with your voices and actions, we can all show the folks in DC that we will not stop until we get what we want, and which is fully funding HIV, TB, and HCV programs that are doing the work to eliminate these diseases. You can do this by continuing to call your members of Congress during this shutdown and demand affirmative action of fully funding those programs, as well as funding. We will overcome this adversity, and we will win. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone. This is the fun part, and I needed a wireless mic so I could move around the stage. Thanks to our fabulous event chairs, Tom Postilio and Mickey Conlin, we have a live auction item that you do not want to miss. We are auctioning off a pair of tickets to Maybe Happy Ending, plus a private backstage tour with none other than the one and only Darren Criss, who is returning to the show on November 5th. You might know him from, well, I know him from Glee, or Little Shop of Horrors, or the Tony Award-winning production, Maybe Happy Ending. So let's kick it off at a very reasonable $500, which is basically just the price of the tickets. Do I see $500? I see $500. Do I see $550? $550 to a pair of tickets to Maybe Happy Ending. $550. Do I see $600? $600. Do I see $650? $650. A private backstage tour with Darren Criss. Thank you. Do I see $700? $700. $700. Do I see $750? $750. Darren Criss. Any of my fellow Gleeks out there who want to get this one-on-one experience with the very dreamy Darren Criss? $750. Okay. $750. Thank you very much. Do I see $800? $800. This show about robots that somehow broke open the hearts of people around the world. $750. $800. Where was I? $800? $800. Thank you very much. This is why I need the help of everyone in the room. Do I see $850? $850 from anybody here? $850. Yes, I see $850. Thank you very much. Do I see $900? $900. Thank you. $950. $950 for a pair of tickets to Maybe Happy Ending. $950. Thank you so much. Can we make it an even $1,000? What an easy number. $1,000. Thank you very much. $1,050. It's basically $1,000. $1,050. Yes, thank you very much. $1,100. Lucky number 11. Isn't there something beautiful and spiritual and magical about $1,100? Thank you very much. $1,150. A little rivalry back and forth. Thank you. What about 12? Let's keep this sibling rivalry going. $1,200, Bob? How much are you going to make her work for it? Do I see $1,200 over here? Okay. The bid stands at $1,150. $1,150 to see Maybe Happy Ending. $1,200. Thank you, sir. How about $1,250? $1,250. It's nothing. It's easy. It's Broadway, guys. $12.50 for 2 tickets. Thank you. $12.50. Bob, are you going to let your sister get those tickets for $12.50 or $1,300? Oh. Do we see $1,300? $1,300. Lucky number 13. $1,300. Okay. We have $12.50. $12.50 going once. The big guns are coming in.
So this is not a bargain basement kind of event, and you're not bargain basement kind of people. We once donated a pair of Hamilton tickets to a client's school event, and they sold for $11,000. It's true. No backstage, just tickets.
But we just had an idea. We just had an idea at the table to make this a little bit sweeter. Even sweeter. So before the show, you can have dinner at the Polo Bar, a reservation for 2, and that probably has a street value of about $1,000, and that doesn't include the meal.
Has anybody here tried to get into the Polo Bar?
Yeah, no, it's beyond that. It's like you go to the website and like look for dates. They don't exist.
Anyway,
They don't exist.
we're sweetening the pie.
Priceless.
Priceless. Polo Bar, 2 people, and then the show.
It'll have to be an early reservation.
I mean, the stakes have risen. So where were we at? $12.50. Polo Bar. Impossible. Priceless. $1,000. It's like it didn't even happen. So do we have $1,300? Now you're basically only paying $300 for tickets to a Tony Award-winning Broadway show, a backstage tour, and then you get this meal? $1,300. $1,300. Okay. Do we have $1,400? Oh. We have $3,000 up front. Okay. What do they say? Now we're cooking with gas? Now we're cooking with gas. Do we have 6,000? Do we have 3,500? That's a reasonable jump, right? $3,500 for tickets, for a tour, for dinner, for the impossible reservation? Okay, 3,000 is looking pretty good. 3,000 going once, 3,000 going twice. Sold for 3,000. Thank you very much. Alex or somebody will tell you where to put that money. If you're feeling left out, we still do have a couple silent auction items. We have tickets to The Great Gatsby. We have tickets to Hell's Kitchen. And we have tickets to Moulin Rouge the musical. And if you come to Moulin Rouge, I'll take you backstage. I think we have until about 8:30 until the silent auction closes. And if you don't win any of those things, you can still donate, don't worry. And you can donate right now. And you can donate on your phone. And you can, if you want, take out your phone right now, which feels so forbidden in an event like this, but take out your phone and you can text RIAA 2025 to 53555, or if your camera will pick up the QR code on the table, you can scan that QR code and make a donation. As these donations come in, we will see a live feed of the donations, and I'll give you a little shout out. And everyone in the room and everyone on the live stream can give you a little appreciation. So let's do it. Let's take out our phones. Can everyone just take out their phone? and open up the Messages app. I do this a lot during the day. Open up the Messages app, type 53555, and text RIAA 2025. It'll give you a link. Click on that link. Donate anything. Truly, no amount is too small because it all adds up and it's going to such an incredible cause. We've heard so much about the work that TAG does, the work that TAG has been doing. We've seen that this research-based, heart-based work works. So we already have some names up here. Thank you to Jesse Cole for $50. Thank you to Alex Brightman for $50. Thank you to Jason Rosenberg. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Somebody donated $1,000 and I didn't see their name. Kate O'Brien of We Are TB, thank you for your amazing donation and for your amazing work. Mark Gilrain, $500. Thank you very much. We also, I believe the stream has been open, so we have some donations from earlier in the night. And at some point, I'll read out those names as well. But we've got the time now. Make your voice heard. Make your dollars heard. Make those donations. Daniel Ravello, thank you very much for $50. John Buldo, $100. Thank you so much. You guys, seriously, no amount is too small. Donate $10, donate $500 if you want, but don't feel held back. And we know that you've already given to be here, so we appreciate that. And we will appreciate more. Anaya and Zia, thank you for your $50 donation. And thank you to Anonymous, whoever is shy tonight. We appreciate you. Karen and Jeff, thank you for your $1,000 donation. That is amazing. Thank you so, so much. John Mead, thank you for $50. It all goes to a good cause. It all goes to Treatment Action Group and their incredible, incredible work. Oh, and we have a live feed of what we are raising. So far, we're almost to $6,000. Thank you, Glow, for your donation. Thank you, Laura Morrison, for $1,000. Thank you, John Lassis, for $50. We've now passed our $6,000 mark. Can we bring it up a little higher? Can we make it to $7,000? I think we can. Look how easily we just raised $3. Guillermo Chacon, thank you so much. And where are you? It's nice to see you. Nice to see your name. Ron Goldberg, we share a last name, but I don't know if we've met. Thank you for your donation, $250. I appreciate it. David and Gregory, thank you for $100. Izzy Cheek, thank you for $1,000. This is so amazing. $7,475 from 26 supporters so far. Thank you to Kevin Getz for $250. You guys, this really, really is incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Sarah Goldberg, my baby sister, thank you for $25. Carl Davis, thank you, $100. Richard Jeffries, $50. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything. Margaret McCluskey, $50, thank you. Jeannie Marazzo and Joe Hoffman, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ethan Freya for $50, thank you. Really, truly, every dollar counts. Every dollar has an impact. Every $100, every $1,000 makes a difference. So thank you. Nicholas and Alberto for $1,000. I love when it makes the little confetti up there. That's very nice. Oscar Mogul, thank you for $50. Tom Dwayne, thank you for $100. You guys, this is really inspiring to see these keep coming in. Thank you so much. Luciano Rebete, thank you very much for $50. Oh my gosh, we're at 9,950. We have to make it to 10,000. I only usually do this at the Moulin Rouge. $30, thank you. It's $50. Thank you. Can we add that into the live feed? I'll put it somewhere safe, I promise. Mr. Aaron McConnell, thank you very much. Oh, Jason Kirk for $250, it just went away. Michael Luciano for $25, Ryan Casey for $37, what a beautiful number. Jason Brock Whetstone, thank you, Jason, for $50. June and Lewis, my aunt and uncle who aren't here in the room but are, I guess, tuning in via Zoom. Thank you for being here and thank you for donating. Stephen Goldberg, Dr. Goldberg, thank you for $1,000. We appreciate you very much. Jazz Masonette, cousin, thanks, cousin, for $50. Andrew Vernon, Andy Vernon, for $100. Thank you so much to Andy Vernon. That is amazing. It's incredible to see new names, familiar names, family, friends. I am just so inspired. I'm getting the signal, so I think we're going to wrap it up. But the QR codes are there. Your cell phones are there. Please continue to donate. Please take a look at the silent auction items. There are the shows, and there are a few other things. So make your way over there. We also have opportunities for the limited art edition print. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. And now, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Lorna Luft to the stage. She has prepared something truly special for us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Before I sing, this is my first TAG event, and I'm so honored. And I can just tell you that all of you out there mean so much to me. And that is because I was diagnosed with breast cancer 13 years ago. So I know about research, and I know about activism, and I know so much about what it takes to have people like myself stand on a stage and be here. So I cannot thank you enough for what you do, for the scientists that I have met, for all of the research, and I know that we will all get through what we are going through together, because I've never been more heartfelt as I was this Saturday, when I stood with my husband and my family in New York City and we marched. I can say I am grateful to TAG, and I can say I will always be there. Thank you for inviting me to this incredible event, and TAG, we're all it. This was written by one of my best friends. His name was Jerry Herman, and he was extraordinary. I'll be here tomorrow, alive and well and thriving. I'll be here tomorrow. It's simply called surviving. If before the dawn, this fragile world might crack, someone's gotta try and put the pieces back. So from beneath the rubble, you'll hear a little voice say, Life is worth the trouble. Have you a better choice? So let the skeptics say tonight we're dead and gone. I'll be here tomorrow, simply going on. I'll be here tomorrow, alive and well and thriving. I'll be here tomorrow, it's simply called surviving. If before the dawn this fragile world might crack, someone's gotta try and put the pieces back. So from beneath the rubble, you'll hear a little voice say, life is worth the trouble. Have you a better choice? So let the skeptics say tonight we're dead and gone. I'll be here tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow, simply going on.
There's a new phrase that's been coined tonight. Tag. We're it.
We're it.
I like it. I like it.
Darling Lorna, thank you, thank you, thank you. I remember the first time we introduced the idea of TAG to you and what this wonderful organization does. And we went through the research and the science, everything you said before. And you said, well, let me know if they need a girl singer. And neither of us have forgotten that. So thank you for being with us.
And thank you to Colin.
And thank you to Colin.
It's nice to have a husband musical director.
I wish I did. And we too, we're relatively new to TAG. It was about 2 years ago in LA, we were having dinner with Kevin and Neil Getz. And we had talked about myriad topics of the arts and the sciences. And by the end of the dinner, Kevin said, you guys need to be involved with TAG. Is it okay if I make some introductions? And we slightly shrugged and said, of course, we're certainly welcome to the idea of that, because we do like to give of ourselves. What we didn't know is that we were going to meet a new family, to meet a group of people who were so dedicated, so passionate about what they do and the good that they do for other people, that it in itself is infectious. And as we discussed earlier, every Tuesday morning for the past year or so, we have Zoomed with each other or Google Met with each other, and it's a meeting we always looked forward to and always came away with feeling hopeful, feeling grateful, and understanding that this organization, unlike so many others, operates like a Swiss clock. There is so much efficiency here and so much absolute dedication that it is an honor to be involved, and we're not going away anytime soon.
Amen.
But I digress.
Okay, it's my turn. we come as a set. Yeah, it's like salt and pepper or something.
You can put a bid in on us.
Oh, goodness, the trouble we're getting into. Okay, well, our final honoree tonight is Well, if you've watched television or been to the movies or have some streaming services in your home at some point over the last 3 decades, you will be familiar with this person, this very special person. From Boston Blue, currently, just started last week, tune in on CBS, to what Gloria refers to as the role of her lifetime, to playing Elizabeth Keckley in Steven Spielberg's epic Lincoln. She has had many roles, many roles. But tonight, the character that we're here to celebrate is Jeannie Boulet from, yeah. For a 6-year period from the mid to late 1990s, ER was the most famous television show on the airwaves. I think it went back and forth with Seinfeld, but you know, we didn't know Gloria then, but it was huge. 30 to 50 million people tuned into this show, and what we want to celebrate tonight is Gloria, when they approached her to talk about this story idea for the character of Jeannie, Gloria sat down with the producers, the creators, and she insisted that this character was to live. That was the story of Jeannie Boulet, and that is what we're celebrating tonight. We're celebrating survival, life, activism, and fighting against the odds. So in that spirit, we'd like to bring Gloria up here. She was recently on our podcast, and the pull quote from that night was, she's the only person in the world that has gone from a popular TV show to touring with Tina Turner. Because she's got it going on. Ladies and gentlemen, Gloria Rubin. Thank you. And we'll take that to the table. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, that's right. I went from ER to Tina Turner, but because I'll give you a little brief anecdote about that. I knew that I had decided to not renew, the contract on ER. Music was my first love, is my first love, and the storyline of Jeannie Boulet was amazing and extraordinary, no regrets there whatsoever. And at the same time, it was rather quite taxing because of the high numbers of viewers on the storyline, and however, I'll get to that. So I said, I basically mentioned that I was not going to renew. I didn't know what was coming next. I had no idea. All I knew was that I needed to have music, more music in my life again. And then I met Tina Turner. So it's, faith and hope and action, participating in the solution is key. So I've written a few words here that I would like to say. And I really just want to thank the Academy for, no, wait. That's the wrong, wait, let me just find. Okay, here it is, yeah, okay. Sorry about that, I've been rehearsing that for like 25 years. No, really though, thanks Tom and Mickey for introducing me to this extraordinary organization, and thank you, TAG, for honoring Jeannie Boulet. It really this is an extraordinary evening to be a part of the community of the fellow nominees and extraordinary people and people whom I've met on Zoom from the last one, the Tuesday 11 a.m. Zoom calls, and many others I've met this evening. It's a real honor to be here and to learn more about what TAG does and all of the, the members who, of course, originated this extraordinary nonprofit going way back. And I can only imagine how many countless lives have been saved with the treatments, access to treatment, and with the awareness and with the on-the-ground work and with partnership with other nonprofits and helping to eradicate still, the how do I say this? We all know about the triple cocktail that was the great savior, if you will, the real foray into the future. But there's a negative triple cocktail, if you will: secrecy, shame, and stigma. And those three things have been rampant when it comes to HIV/AIDS, right from the very beginning up until today. However, it's the participating in the solution. It's the keeping the voice of, going into the communities and talking in certain demographics in this country that still carry a lot of secrecy and shame and a lot of stigma when it comes to this virus and to AIDS. So, breaking that silence, right, is key. The timing of this evening, of this honor this evening, is kind of extraordinary and divine timing in a way. So as the fellas mentioned, I like to call them fellas because I'm kind of old school that way. But yeah, Jeannie Boulet, that was 30 years ago, that's a long time, man. It's kind of scary and, kind of terrifying and incredible that so much time has gone by. But however, Jeannie's story, married, professional Black woman who contracts a virus from her husband, 30 years ago, it was very much a groundbreaking role and story. And it's still very relevant in today's time. ER had a resurgence, if you will, during the COVID pandemic, as we were all, I don't want to talk for anybody else but myself. I know that I was glued to any kind of entertainment. I watched Frasier. I'm not kidding. That was 12 seasons? Every single episode. Twice, do you understand? So anyway, I digress. But ER, one of the streamers, I think it may have been Hulu, that re-aired every single one of ER's episodes during the pandemic. So a whole new generation of fans has grown from that, not just fans of the show, but also fans of Jeannie's storyline, which is kind of extraordinary. Sometimes people come up to me, like younger people from that, well, everybody's young to me now anyway, it doesn't matter. But, people that saw for the first time ER during the pandemic, and they would say something to the effect of, "Oh my gosh, you haven't aged at all." And I say, "I love you." It's inappropriate sometimes, but whatever. What are you going to do? No, but really, portraying Jeannie in that way very much so helped not just offer people the opportunity to open their minds to who contracts the virus, but also the opening up of awareness and of compassion. The compassion and again, just that compassion, leading to the eradication of that shame or shaming someone or still maintaining that stigma, is very powerful in that way. And portraying Jeannie has always definitely left me feeling very proud of the work that we did on that show. As Tom had mentioned, especially because I insisted and, I certainly ensured along with the producers that Jeannie would not die from AIDS on the ER, rather when I left the show. Because as we know, of course, the beginning of the triple cocktail, HIV-positive people were literally getting their lives back. And I just wasn't, there was no way that I was going to have my face be the face of HIV equals death. No way, for all time. No. That was not the truth. These things live on forever, these roles. Jeannie Boulet walked out of the ER newly remarried, and after having adopted a baby. That a girl. That's what I'm talking about. So I really thank you for honoring Jeannie Boulet and the message that she carried and that I continue to carry. And I just have to say, really, this evening, this honor is for someone else, my brother Dennis. So Tom and Mickey, you know Dennis. So when the producers did speak when we were talking about Jeannie being HIV positive in the next storyline, in the next season, at first I said no. I didn't want to do it. I knew that 40 million people were watching the show every week. That's a lot of people. I knew that, the job on its own was enough, and also a loved one was HIV positive. So if I had to do that at work, and then also, deal with it, if you will, in my personal life, I didn't think I had the emotional bandwidth. And so I spoke with Dennis about it, and Dennis was the one who said, I think you should do it. I think it will make a difference. So on this night, October 20th, 15 years ago, October 20th, 2010, I got a call in the middle of the night. Dennis had a brain hemorrhage. I got on a plane and went to Toronto and was with him when he passed. So I thank you for this honor tonight. And I accept it with a full and grateful heart. And I accept it for my Dennis. Keep fighting the good fight, my friends. Keep taking action. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Gloria. And thank you to all of tonight's honorees. This has been such an inspiring evening, and the celebration can continue. The bar will be open. I'd like to welcome Andy Monroe to the stage, who will play us out of the program. Please enjoy his musical stylings. The food will flow. Say hi to a friend. Enjoy the rest of your night. And thank you for standing with Treatment Action Group.